All right, so today we're going to be talking about events in JavaScript. Because without it, there is one way you are going to wire your code in a way that is only going to run that code when something happen or when action occur on the page. So we have events. Events are ways or what on your page there are different events that can occur on the page. So when you click, that's an event, or we call it actions in case you want to call it that way or mention it in that way. So events are different actions that can occur on the page. Some of them it happen on the browser, while some of them happen outside of the browser, but you can listen for them. And what I mean by listen, you can talk to JavaScript that okay, keep waiting for this also event to occur. And once it occur, this is what I want you to do. It's not that you just get to that page and it's going to carry out the action. No, it's going to wait for that specific event to occur on the page, and once that event occurred, then it's going to fire the code that you want to run. Because I don't want to run the code that will change this button now to something, and when I've not clicked on it is when the user click on it, that's when I want the text to change to another one. Normally, we can just quickly select the button and then change the content that is inside it, but we don't want to do that. We only want to change the content when the user click on the button. And what I just did here now is event just occur here. So anything you perform on the screen or whatever you do on your browser, there's an event attached to them. And we have different type of events that you can have there like that. As you can see, we have the keyboard event, we have the mouse, we have the form, we have window, and a lot of them. And some of the event name, that's the event, but we now have the name for them because there's a lot of event that can under this keyboard. There are different events that can occur. So how do you know which one or from the other one? So you can use the name of the event. So you talk to this in under keyboard. I know there is a keyboard, but this is the specific event that I want under that keyboard. And we have a lot of them. For example, under the mouse, we have the click, because you can use the mouse to click anywhere on the page. So that's one of the events that we have under the mouse event. Under the form, we have submit, which is what you're always going to use to handle the form submission. So when the user wants to submit the form, you want to check whether whatever they put inside that form is okay or not before. When you go online, you try to submit and you don't type the correct stuff, you see that the error message will come outside when you try to submit. What they are doing there is they are listen for you to submit the form. And once you submit the form, the code that will check everything that you type and put the necessary error message there is going to run. Not that it's when you get to the page that it will just run, because it doesn't make sense. The user has not typed anything or they've not submitted, so they've not even entered the form and you're showing the error for them. It doesn't make sense. So it's when the user carry out a specific action on a page that you want a specific code to run. And how do you do that? You listen. That means you start waiting for them to carry that action, and once they carry out the action, then you fire the code that you want to run there like that. And how do you do it? So in JavaScript, we have different ways of listening for events like that. So this is one of the way of listening for events, where you are going to be having the elements that target on the page. Then on it, you are going to have this dot on, then event name that you want to target like that. For example, for this one now, we can just target the button on the screen, and I think we had a class on it. So let me go there and look for that button. So let me scroll down. I think it's up. So let me go up, and as you can see, this is a button. But in order for us to be able to target it easily, let's just give it a class with this btn so that it will be easier for us to select from Java. So from here now, what we can just do, so const btn like that is going to be document then dot not you. So document, then query selector, because I want to select it using the CSS selector. Now from there, I'm looking for any element that have this particular class there. So this now, so the word I'm calling element here is whatever the element that you target on the screen, or it can be something you created from JavaScript. So whether it's on the page or you create the stuff from this place, you are still talking about the element. So on this element, you can use this on. So after this on, then follow by the name of the event that you are looking for. For example, one of the event is this click. So what they are saying is that this function, whatever function you assign to this, that's what you want to run anytime this click event occur on this element. So on this element, if you want it to be on the document, you can just say document dot on. So which means anything you click on the page is going to fire that event. But here now, what do you want to do? You want to assign it to a function. So it might be a function that you're creating directly on this line, or a function that you've created somewhere else before. If it's a function that you've created somewhere else before, this is how you are going to do it. So btn, then dot on click like this, then it's going to be the name of the function. When you've already defined a function somewhere, what you only type here is the name. You don't call, when you do it like this, you are calling the function. You are not the one that will call the function. It's only going to get called when this event occurs. So you are not to put that bracket there. You are not the one that will call it. What you are just saying is that when this thing happen, this is the function you want to call. But this function has been defined somewhere. For example, here it can be down here or up, which is going to be name of the function. So you are going to have it like this. So if you define your function somewhere else like this, then this button, you are now attaching it to this function. But if you are creating it directly on that line, then you can just do it like this. And again, too, the name is useless because you are just putting it inside this one. If you like, you can put the name, but it doesn't make sense because you will not be able to use this thing after this line because it's attached to this on click. But most of the time, the function you are using for this one, you want to use it for another element. So that's where this one comes in, where you are going to create the function somewhere. Then anywhere you need it, you just assign it to any of the elements. So if assuming we have another element we want to perform the same thing, we just need to give it the same name. But I've already defined it somewhere. I don't need to keep doing it again and again and again like that. And this is pattern I always follow like that when we're doing the stuff. But this is not the only way of achieving the stuff. But first, let us see whether it is going to work or not like that. And what did I want to do is just to do console log out like that, which is going to be you just clicked on me like that, and I can save the stuff. Then going back to the page, you are going to see that nothing is happening. It's not like the way we used to create it before, that once you just save, you start seeing the output. No, you will not see the output because what we are doing here is that we are listening for this event on this element. So once that event occur, that's when it's going to run this function like that. And in order for it to work, we just need to go to the button. Do we save the HTML file? Okay, the HTML file has been saved. So from there, we just need to click on it. And as you can see, it's coming out with that message. And if you click it again, you see that it will still do it. And that's why it's putting two, because it's the same text. So that's why I put it on the same line. But assuming they are different texts, it will put them on a separate line. And the more you click on it, as you can see, this thing is telling me that I've clicked on it 11 times like that, because it will keep doing that stuff again and again anytime that event occurs. So this is one way of doing the event, but I don't like this way like that. I always love to use this type here, which is this the element then followed by this add event listener. It follows the same pattern too like that. So it follows the same pattern. The difference is just that the way you work on this one. So the same thing here too. If you want to use that one, so we can just, so const btn once again is going to be document then query selector or like that, which is going to be dot btn like that. And here we can now do btn then add event listener. So here you don't need to do on. What you do is does the name of the event that you are looking for or that you want to listen for on this element. And one of the events that we talked about is the click. So this is the name of the event. Then what follows is the function that you want to run like that. So here you just need to pass the function like this. You can see the same thing as what we have at the top. The difference is that you are calling this method on it. Then inside the method, it's expecting two things from you. It's expecting the event you want to listen for, and then the function or what you want to do where this event occur like that. And what did I want to do? So yeah, I just want to do button dot inner HTML like that. Is just going to be thank you. So what we have there is click me, but once you click on it, it will change the text to thank you like that. As you can see, nothing is happening yet, but once we click on it, as you can see, the text will change to thank you. And if you click it for now till tomorrow, it's still changing it, just that the text are the same. So your eyes is not seeing that something is changing, but actually it's changing. But since the value are the same, so it looks as if the stuff is not changing at all. And as you can see, the button here, so let me click on it again. As you can see, the thing is telling that something is changing there like that. But because the texts are the same, so there is no difference. So your eyes will not see that it's changing, but it's actually changing there like that, because anytime you click on it, it will always replace it. But assuming I do something that is changing, for example, here now, I can just do this math.random to generate some random number for us. You are going to see there like that. As you can see, click me. So once I click on it, as you can see, it generates this random. And if I click on it again, as you can see that it's changing there, because every time it will always generate that random number. We're going to use this later on when we get to some application that you need some random value. So you can use this in to generate random value like that. And I want it to be a number between 0 and 10. So what I can just do here is the this is going to be floor or like that, or it's going to be round. We're going to talk about all this one when we get to the time we need it, but I just want to use in this place so that I can have a simple number. So click on it. As you can see, it's 0 like that. If I click on it, it is 1. So it's always going to be generating some random number between 0 and 1, but I want it to be up to 10. So I need to multiply by 10 so that it can give me a number between 0 and 10 like that. So here now, as you can see, 8. So 8 again, 1, 9. So it's always going to be giving me a random number between 0 and 10 like that. So that you can see that it's actually changing. But if the texts are the same every time, it will look as if it's not doing anything, but it's changing behind the scene there like that. And based on this experience now, you can start doing some magic on the page already with this event and everything that we've talked about before there. So, and what are the things that you can do there? There's some design that I've shown you before. For example, going to any page, you are going to see sometime you have to click, or if this one says they are not even using JavaScript for it, it's overstay they are using. But sometime on some sites, you have to click before this thing is going to open up like that. Let me see. Let me go to another site that is being used, and I think it's going to be used here because no, here. So it's always going to be here because I worked on this. So as you can see here, it's not popping out, but once I click on it, that's when it's going to pop out. And if I click on it again, it's going to go back like that. The same thing here too. So click on this, close the stuff, click on it, it open it up. So this is combination of JavaScript and CSS. You know, in CSS, you are going to move it to this place, but it's not going to come outside like this until you click. So which means the experience we have from managing the class on the element and managing attribute. So once the thing is clicked, you go to one element, update its property or change something on it. Then if it's click again, you check whether it is there. If it is there, you remove. If it's not there, you add. So those are the things you'll now be doing later on, combining everything together. So event, then all the other codes you have, everything is now going to come in together there like that. But events, we have different type of events that you can listen for, and I'm going to be showing you different type of events that you can use based on what you want to carry out on the screen. For example, here now, assuming we have input, but as the user is typing, you want to be showing what they are typing to in another place. So for example here, let's go to the page, and somewhere on this page, or let me use this place too. So I'm going to have input like this, which is going to be of type text. So we're going to give it a class so that it will be easier for us to target, or we know that it is just one input we have there, but I'm just going to give it this. Let me just remove the class because we only have one input, so we can target it based on the name. And after that, I just want to have this P, but I'm going to give it a class which is going to be user input like that. So whatever you are typing, it's going to appear inside this box. But how do we get what the user is typing? For example, here now, the user is typing, but I want to put it inside the P tag that is there. So how do I do that? So first, let's apply styling on this our P, or this our input. I don't want it to be like that. So let me select my input. So this thing is going to be display of flex so that it can be on its own line like that. And at the same time, it's supposed to full everywhere. So which is going to be width to be 100%, like that, so that it's full everywhere. Again, we need some padding, which is going to be 0.75 rem for top and bottom, then 0.5 rem for left and right, so that we have enough space. Again, border radius like that is going to be around that 0.5 rem, but the border that is there, I don't like it, so border is going to be 1 pixel solid, transparent like that, so which means it's not going to show at all like that. And I don't like what is at the top of it there, so we can use margin top so that we space it from what is at the top, or I can use margin block so that there will be space at the top. And so margin block is talking about top and bottom, and margin inline is talking about left and right. There's a P here, but because nothing is inside it, that's why it looks like nothing is there. But later on, when the user start typing, we want to put it at that place, like that. So we have this input that the user can type inside the box, and again, the thing is trying to go more than its container there, like that, and it's because of what the browser used to do by default, which is this. So this is going to be mean width should just be 100% like that. Don't try to go and still going outside, but I will leave that one for now. Or what I can just do here, instead of using this, so let me just use 90%, or let me use 50% of wherever it is, and then let me remove this one so that it will just be halfway through so that we can see it. And here now we have the input, so this is my input. But how do we get what the user is typing as the user is typing, not after they are done typing? So there are different modes that you can listen for on the keyboard. Is it when the user press the key down, or where the user press it down and it's coming up, or both of them together? Or so there are different events you can listen for on this thing. And again too, is it when the value has changed from one to the other one? That's where you want to fire the stuff, like that. So again, you can see that I'm inside the box. What if I leave the box and I want to do something? That's another event you can listen for, and we call it blur. So let's start using some of them, or let's see some of them in action there, like that. And what do we want to do? The first thing you need to do is to get your element, because you need to have access to the element. So yeah, I'm going to call it input is going to be document, then query selector, like this. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for the input on the page. Again, to const display, which is the P that is under, is what I'm calling display, which is going to be what is the class. So user input, or instead of me calling user input, let me give it the same name too, which is going to be display, like this. And what we can do is document, then query selector, which is going to be dot displays, because it's a class, like that. And what do we want to do now? We want to add event on this input. And what type of event we want to add? We want to add event of when the user is typing inside the box. So we can just do event the input, then add event listener. And from here, as you can see, there's a lot of events that you can add. As you can see, one of them is this change. That means when value change from one to the other one. But I don't like to use this one on the input when you want to get the current stuff that the user type. This one will never give you like that. So let's see. So from here, this your we need to pass the function that we want to run anytime this in occur. But instead of us using this function like this, there's even a better way of creating a function. If you remember, when we are dealing with function, I told you there are different ways of creating a function in JavaScript, and we are able to talk about the one with the function keyword, like that. So we are able to talk about the one with the function keyword. So let me go up to that section. So let me go up to the section. As you can see, here you can define a function by using this function keyword, then followed by the name of the function, like that. For example, like this. But instead of you using this method, we can actually use something known as what is called arrow function. So this arrow function, like that, are really useful when you are passing them around as a value to your other function. For example, here, if you look down here now, if you look down here, you see that this is a function on its own, but it's method on input. But inside it, can you see that we are now passing another function to it, like that? You can do it like this, it will still work, but there's a better way of just passing function around, or another way of creating your function, and that one is known as this arrow function. So we call it arrow function based on the way you work on it. And how do you create arrow function? So here you are going to have const or let, but most of the time, since you are not going to be changing name, it's going to be const. Then there's going to be function name like that, which is a variable. Then you are going to assign it to this just bracket like this. This is what we call arrow function. As you can see, this is where the name is coming from. And how do I get that? It's just by using this bracket. Normally it's function, then followed by that bracket. But if you don't put the keyword function there, so it's going to be like this, followed by this, the assignment, then now followed by the greater than symbol together, no space. Then from here, you have the same, or you can see it's the same thing as what you have there. The only thing we are adding is that we are removing this. We are moving this one. As you can see, this one is moved to this side. I know before here there's nothing like equal to. What you just have is function, then function name, then the bracket, then you have the curly brace, and inside it you have your statement. But here now, we are now creating it as a variable. So you are creating it as a variable, then you assign it to this what we call arrow function, and here you are going to have your statement. So instead of you creating something like this, when you want to create a function that is pass around, you don't need to put the name, because the name is not there. So here, as you can see, this one, you don't even need to give it name. This is just what we call arrow function, like that. And it works like normal function too, like that. So if I want to create it here, I can just come down to this place, like that. Before I create this one, what I can just do is to create my function somewhere else by just say const add, which is going to be this. Just like that one too, you can receive parameter. It's going to receive a and b like that. This is let me name it param1, and this is param2. And what do you want to do there? What you just want to do is to do console then dot log, which is going to be param1 then plus something is wrong there. So I did not put something. This thing that is covering, as you can see, something is missing. Why is missing? What is missing? As you can see, that one is missing there. So param, because that thing that was covering my base. Okay. And as you can see now, this function that I have here, which is arrow function, is the same thing as you creating it like this, which is the same thing as you doing something like this. So param1 and param2 like that. And here you are going to have the console then dot log like that. So param1 then plus param2. So both of them are the same thing. Or you might be thinking they look the same. The advantage of this one is that we can just pass this entire box here, this entire box now, into our function without us mentioning this function keyword. So if I want to use this one now in place of function inside this box, what I can just use is, first of all, remove this function. Then in between, as you can see it's telling you already that you need to put that stuff. So in between this, you need to put this one. So look at how short this is function 2 like that, but it is known as arrow function, and it's really useful, or is what it's mostly being used when you are passing function as parameter to another function. And when there's another name for this, so when you are doing it like this, everything here, when you say function and method, they are the same thing, but to the outside world it might look like they are different. Method is the one that is on object, while function is the one that is generic, whether it is standing alone or it is inside object or anywhere. All of them are function, but the one that is on object, we normally give it a name method. The same thing here too. When you are passing function to another function as parameter, so we call it callback. So that's another name that we call it. So anytime I might be calling them, I might say callback later on. So callback. This is just just a function passed to another function as parameter. That does it. So that's just, anytime they mention callback, it's just a function, but you are now passing it to another function as parameter. So when someone says you should create a callback, what they are just telling you is you are passing it on. So you need to know which function are you passing it into, like that. So it's not that we are bringing new thing. It's still just that here, instead of me calling function every time, it's always going to be callback. So you need to create a callback. Callback is the function, and from the name, it means this your function here, this method, it will call this one later on to come and do whatever that is inside it when we have this event on the page on this particular element, not all the elements. So here now we can do whatever we want to do. For example, we can just console log out change like that. So I can save it like this. Again, too, I've made changes to the HTML file. So let me save that one too, like that. And we can go back into this, our console. So let me expand it. And from here now, let me type something. As you can see, as I'm typing, it is not giving me any value because you are still typing. You are not done typing. So when you're going to be done is when you just leave the box. So when you leave the box, as you can see, it will fire that event. So if you go back and you type again, then you leave, then it will fire the event again. So if I enter and if I leave, as you can see, it did not fire because I did not change the. So I enter, the document that I met there is this. Then after leaving again, it's still the same thing. As you can see that it did not fire. Because the only time it will fire is when whatever you have there has changed to another value. But that's not what I want. What I want here is that as I'm typing, I want to be getting what I'm typing at that moment. So that's another event on its own. And that's the reason why you need to, first note what you want to do. Then based on what you want to do, you are going to call the correct event name that you are looking for. And that one we are looking for here, the input actually have something known as a input. So this one will get fired anytime you input something inside the box. You don't need to leave before it fire. It's when you input something inside the box there like that. So now going back to the page, leave. This one will not fire anything. But once I type, as you can see, anytime you type, it will always fire the event. So this one now, it will always give you whatever you type. Whatever you type, it will always give you. But right now, how do we get what we know that it's firing this stuff as we are typing. But how do we actually get the value, or how do we get the info about the event that occur? Because every event that occur is going to get sent down to your function that you are running. It's going to give you the information about it. So what type of event that occur, what are the value, what are the properties that is attached to that event. Is going to send everything down to you. But when you receive it, if you don't receive it, nothing will happen. But where do we receive it? So the function you are passing to your event listener, so the JavaScript will actually pass what happened to it. So it's not less for you to receive it or not. No, those are the variable we are creating here, param1 and param2. The same thing here too, is when it get called later on, that's where all the value will be sent out. So here too, whatever the JavaScript is going to be sending to you later on, you too, you can receive it here like that. So which means when this function get called later on, this param is going to hold all the information about the event that occur on the page. But we don't really call it param. Normally, you only see this E, which is short form for event. So event that occur, it will get sent down to you. Then you can now use whatever information is given to you there like that. But normally, we used to short it to E, which is just for event. And from there now, what we can just do here, we can console log out that E so that we see the information that is coming back there like that. And now, once you type something, can you see it's telling us that the event that occurred is this input event, because that's what we are listening for. And as you can see, there's a lot of property under it like that. Again, to tell you the type of, for some time, when you, based on what you want to do, you want to know whether it is this backspace that the user type, or is another, or the user is moving forward or they are moving backward. So this input type is what you can use to know whether the user types something or they clear something. So this one will tell you what, as you can see, this one is telling you that the user actually inserts a text. But here now, if I clean the text, you see that it's still the same input event, but now as you can see, the type is now delete content backward, because that means the user actually click on this button. So based on that, you know what to do on the page. But if you look at it, when anytime you click on anything, it will tell you the event. So there is something known as target, and there is something known as where is that one? Yeah, current target, because both of them, they are kind of closely related to each other, but it's crazy like that. But I'm going to explain what is target. Target is the element that trigger the event. Target is the element that trigger the event. That doesn't mean it's the element you attach the event on. So we have two: the one you attach the event on and the one that trigger the event. But sometimes the one you attach the event on is still the same thing that is going to trigger the stuff, because input now there's no any other thing inside it, so it's still going to be the one that is going to trigger. But sometimes what if we attach the event on this div, but we attach click on this div, then we now click on the button? So current target is going to be the div, while the one that triggered the stuff, which is the target, will now be the button. So the target is what you attach the event on, while the one that triggered that event is what we call target. But sometimes, when we attach it to this button, it's still the same thing we're going to click. So it will be the target, and at the same time, it will still be the current target. Current target is what you attach the event on, why the target is the one that actually trigger, because just because you attach on it doesn't mean it will trigger. It's until you perform that stuff that which element trigger that event. So that's what we call target. So target, as you can see now, is telling us that is this input that trigger that event like that. Because don't forget, I told you you can attach this your function now. You can create it separately and you attach it to different element. When you're attaching it to different element, there's no way inside the function that this is the one that is actually currently using it. So how do you know the one that is currently using it? That's what these targets we normally use it for. Because when you attach it to different element, like click now, you need to know which element that actually trigger this function. So under this target, you are going to see the element there. As you can see, it's giving us the input. Whatever element that trigger the stuff is what this target we always hold, like that, which is what you need most of the time. Like 90% of the time, what you need is the target, not current, like that. But at some time you need the current, but 90% of the time, what you always use under your event is this target. Another thing that used to come there that you want to see is for the input, there is something known as data there. And as you can see, data hold whatever stuff you type at that time. So, the one we did the backward, as you can see, the data is null, because at that point you did not input anything, you clear what is here. So that's why it is null. But anytime you type, when the stuff is inside text, under the data, you are going to get what the user type at that time. But what if I don't even need the one they type at that time? I need everything as the user is typing. No, don't forget, under the target, it have the element that occur. And that input too, as you can see, it comes with its own property. And one of the property under it is value, which is everything you have inside the box. So everything you have inside the input is the value. So on the input, we have value. There's a lot of things. You can see there's a lot of things there. But most of the time, you don't need them. On the input, majorly, what you need every time is just the value, which is the one that is holding what the user type inside the box. So I can just say, this is my input, like that. And this thing is firing every time I called or I type inside the box. So from here now, as you can see, the last thing I type is T. But that's not what I want. I need everything. So from there, I just need to enter this target, then go down to its value, and from there, I'm going to have access to whatever it's there. So expand this like that, and under, can you see, under the value, we have everything. So as I'm typing, I want to be taking what is inside the value, then put it inside the P like that. So that's the thing. What you do, so because here, you have to know what you want to do, and at the same time you have to talk to it how to do the stuff. So but when you move to framework, what you just do is tell him what you want to do, but how it's going to get there, none of your business. The framework will handle this stuff. But here that we're using JavaScript directly, the first thing we need to do is to get the element. Then after getting the element, we attach the event on it. Then after attaching the event on it, we want to get its value anytime someone inputs something there. Then now put it inside this the display, which is the P that we have on the screen. So instead of you doing it like this, in those framework, the way to do is that you just type it like this, your normal HTML code, and in front of it, you just tell it the value that you want to display there based on the one that is coming from here. But how is it going to be connecting them together? The framework will be doing all this magic that we're doing here now behind the scene for us. And again, too, those framework, they are smart. Once they see the data, here now, that we're clicking, click me, that it's the same data that is in thank you. So those framework, when they see that it's the same value, they don't even do any changes. It's only when the data change, that is going to update the DOM, which is the document that you have. But you know, from normal JavaScript, it's updating the stuff, the same thing. But which you can do it by checking, is the value the same thing? If it's not the same thing, update. But if the same thing, don't update. But we don't want to be doing all those work by ourselves. There should be something that take care of all those low level for us, that I want to just to focus on the application we are building. What I want to focus on is that everything that I'm typing here, I want it to appear inside the P, not how the host element are going to be communicating with each other behind this. So how do I, like, I need to create the element. After creating the element, I need to target it from JavaScript. After targeting, I need to add the event. After adding the event, I need to wire a lot of things together. Just simple stuff that I want to do now. You see a lot of code we are writing, but it would be nice when, right now it looks simple too, but when you want to create a lot of interaction later on, doing it yourself is going to come with a lot of code that you don't want to focus on, because you are going to be focusing more on the code rather than focusing on the functionality that you want there, like that. So what do we want to do? The first thing, you need to know what you want to do. Then the second thing, what are the stuff you need to wire together to achieve. Then after that again, you need to put you need to now make sure that this thing follow those steps, like that. But that's what we want to do. So the first thing we did here is that we get our elements on the page because they are already there. Assuming they are not there now, we have to create them, then add it to the page. But it's already there, so we don't need to do all those voila there like that. So we'll just need to target them. Then after targeting the element, the next thing is for us to attach events on it. And the only one that need the event is just the input, because the other one doesn't need any event, because it's not, we are putting something there based on something that happened somewhere, not based on something that happened to that element. But assuming we are depending on that element event too, say you have to attach event on it. But that one, we don't need to do anything on it. So whether you click, you cannot type there on the page to P, so it's not possible. So the only type of event that you can achieve on your P for now is just like the click, when it's click, but we don't need it. What we just need is there, when the user type inside the box here like that, we want the P to appear here, and it's going to display the content that we type inside the box. And we've started with it. We've gotten our input, we've gotten our P, which is what we call display here. Then we've attached the event that is going to give us the value every time the user is typing inside the box. Instead of us doing this console log, another thing we want to do is that we want to do this display now, then dot inner, that's what you can use to put content. And what do we want to put in the content? We want to, you already have the input here directly, so we can actually talk to the input directly and get its value. But assuming the function you are using now is not attached here, or the input is somewhere else, they are kind of close to each other. But assuming the function now is being used in different places, you can't just say input, because it can be used with other elements. So from there you can do your need. Can you see that we have target? On the target we now have value, because this one, the target is whatever the element that trigger it, and we know that it is the input that is going to trigger the stuff. Or instead of you doing this, because we know that it's only the input that is using that function, we can just say that our input directly, then dot value like this, because the function is attached to this input event listener, and the input is here already. We've gotten the input. Assuming you don't have access to the input too, you have to drip down to get the value of the input. But anytime the time you are going to be using most of this is the function that you pass here, that is not related to only this your element that you had event on, because it's going to be like that most of the time, because you want to reuse that same logic for different element. So on the you are going to be getting the target, that means the element that triggered the stuff like that. But since we have access to the input already, this one is just a waste of typing there, but it's still going to give you the same results like that. And that's the thing about JavaScript, you can achieve same thing in different way. And that's the reason why it looks like it's kind of an ad, because you do something one way, when you now see somebody else code, you see that they are doing it and another, but this is not how I was the thought, this is not the way because here you can do things in different ways. So it's not depend on you which one you want to use. And again too, I mentioned it, whatever method you're going to use, make sure that it's a simple, like you always go with a simpler method compared to the big one. Just like the selector too, in selector of CSS, for every crazy selector, there's always a simple way of doing that same thing there like that. The same thing here too. So you can do things in different ways, but you always go with a simple method. So now if I type, as you can see, as I'm typing, everything is appearing there like that, because we listen for the event here that once the user type, we go to that input, pick everything that is there, and we put it inside this our P. And you know that, when you say inner HTML there like that, it will clear whatever that is there before. So we don't need to care about, this is what is there before. So if I remove something here, I don't need to care about whether it's going to join it with what is there before, because I know that inner HTML, once you set it like this, everything that is in that element before, it will wipe it off, it will replace it with whatever you put at the front. And that's the reason why you see that I'm not using the data. No, I'm not using the data, because if I use the data, it's always going to be giving me the current text that you type, not this is what I'm saying here now. So in case we want to use that, we can just say this E, then data like that. And if I use this one, it will work. Just that there's going to be a problem. As you can see, it's always going to be giving you the last text you type. So because data, as you can see, is just whatever the last thing that you type. But it's not the last thing that I want. I want the entire stuff that is inside the box. So to get the entire stuff that's inside the box, you have to go to that input and look for its value. Then inside that value, everything is there. But the reason why I'm using that event is because I want to get it anytime you type, not when you are done typing and you leave the box. Because if you want to do that one, that's change. So instead of you listening for this one, what we can just do is to listen for change. And this is another event on its own. The way it's going to come outside, his own type of event too. It will come with his own distance. But let's use the input, then value like that. And you see that this one will not be changing as you are typing. It will only change when you leave the box and the value. So now, once this thing is saved, as I'm typing, as you can see, this one doesn't fire as you're typing. So it's when you are done typing and you leave the box, that's when it will fire. Like that. As you can see, its own type of event is now event, it's not input. So which means the way some stuff are going to be represented here will be different. But all of them, we always have target. They will always have this current target. So you can see current target will always be there, and target will always be there, because you need to know the element that fired the event. And the element that fired the event, you see, it's still the same input like that, and the time that occur, and again to the type of event, which is the same thing that we pass into it already, because we are the one that passed the name of the event. So we don't need to be listening for that. We don't need to. We are not going to be using it at all, except if you create a generic listener for different type of event, then you can use this one to know which one. But most of the time, what you're after is just your target, which is the element, and from that element you can do whatever you want on it. Again, if I enter now and if I leave, nothing will happen because I did not change. But now if I save as I'm typing, you can see it's not updating the value. But once I leave there, that's when it will now update or fired. But that's not what I want. I want it to keep changing as I'm typing there like that. So on the input, you can use this input like that. But this one to behind the scene is just a concrete event name that is built on top of the keyboard event, because you can listen for different type of keyboard events that you want. So we have something like key press. So this one is when you press your keyboard. It doesn't care whether it is going down or it is up. It will always fire there like that, because there are two things. Your key can go down and your key can come up. As you can see now, can you see the event name? Is that keyboard event like that. So open the stuff. Here now, it's really useful. Maybe you want to know whether the user press other type of key and so forth like that. Because for example, as you can see now, code is telling that it's key K, or there is a key that was pressed, which is the same key. And again, too, there is a code attached to it. Every key on the keyboard, they have code attached to them. So when the user press Control, there's a code for it, or then again, too, there is a key text. So if I press the Control like that, the code is what has been assigned to all these. They are constants. You can't just change the stuff like that. So if I press Control, no, not this. So let me just all this one are doing something. Reload. Let me use this like that. So I have as you can see like that, I'm getting this key S like that, but the car code, this is the actual, because computer, computer doesn't know anything like your S. What computer know about is 0 and 1. So all these number you are seeing here, there's a number attached to them. So for capital letter S now, it is 83. So this 83 will not get converted to binary that the computer knows about. That's what it just, so everything that we are doing, nothing concerning about computer. What they know is about is just 0 and 1. But all these things, they are attached to something that they are now like a secondary value to us. But behind the scene, they are going to get converted down to 0 and 1 that the computer understand, which where you now have your transistor that are changing like that based on 0 and 1. Then based on that, the computer now display what is going on there like that. And as you can see, it's telling me that I actually press the shift key like that, because if I did not press the shift key, if I press I like that and go down, we shouldn't have it as true. As you can see, the shift key is false. So based on that, if you want to do something based on the keyboard, you can listen for the keyboard yourself like that. And this is one of them, key press. So when you've like you press the keyboard, means it has gone down and it has come back up, because when you press it, it will go down and it will come back up. That's a key press. But what if you want to listen for when it is done? Because like this one now, if I just let me clear everything. So look at it. Let me just hold the key down like that. So you can see it's still going like that. But now let me go back there. Instead of key press like this, I can just say key up like that. So save. So this one means it only fired when the key come back up like that. As you can see, as the keyboard is down, like key is down, it doesn't do anything. The only time it will fire is when the key now come back up, or when it is down. That's the only time you want to listen for. That one too is there, so you can listen for key down. So it's only when your key is down, like when it go down, that's when it will fire. But key press, whether it's go down or up, it's combining the two of them together like that. So that's how it works. So if you want to listen for your keyboard like that, and all this one is really useful. Maybe you want to do something when the user press this arrow key here, or when they press the stuff here on the page. So you can listen for this. All this one are really useful on the page. When you listen for key down, then when they press this, you want to move your slider to this side. When they press this one, you want to move. And that's what I use on this site. So if you look at this site, so which is this, let me go to the site. So marketplace dev. So yellow, these are a site that I just built recently like that. And if you look at it, there's a slider here. But I don't want you to log in. I don't want you to log in at all. I don't want to log in at all, at all, at all, at all. Yeah. So as you can see, continue browsing. So look at this slider now. This slider is going to be moving left and right. But they want us to do in a way that the user should still be able to, by default, if you are not, as you can see, I'm on top of it, it will stop on this one. Once you're on top of it, it will stop. But once you leave, then it will keep moving on its own. But I don't want, you can see there's a time mark set there before it moves to next one. But you know, you might have already seen it with before, but you want to show it to someone. You know, you don't need to wait for the timer before you get to the last one. So yeah, as you can see, I can press this arrow to move to any one of them. So we are adding event listener on the element there that listen. So once someone press something on the keyboard, check whether it's this arrow here or this arrow here, not up or down. As you can see, this one and this one will not work. The only one that will work here is when it is this or when it is this type. And you can check the type of whatever that occur on the page like that. For example, what we can just do here, we can actually, don't forget, you can add things to on your document. So we can just say document, then dot add it. That means the entire document, like any document, whatever you have on the page. So we can add event listener, and what type of event listener, which is going to be this key down. Or if you want, you can do key press, any one of them. So what do we want to do? So I want to get the events that occur on the page like that, and from there we just need to console log out the events that occur. So this is going to be event like that, is going to be the E, and we can save the stuff. What's the problem? Oh, I did not put the comma here. So the E like that, so save. And now from here now, anytime you do anything with the keyboard like that, so something is missing. What did I not put? I've saved everything. Yeah, so now anytime something happen, is supposed to fire my event. What's my event? Yeah, As you can see, I'm having this, but it did not fire this for this because the page has hijacked the stuff like that. Hmm. That's why I love the framework to simplify this process, because now I need to do some other thing to make this one to come up like that. But it's just the same thing. Let me see. Uh, Key down, which is still the same thing, but it's when your key is down. As you can see now, yeah. So, so as you can see now, can you see what it's giving me? Can you see the name? Or can you see the code? Arrow up, arrow down. That's not what I want. I want the left and the right. So now I can now wire the code that when it is left or right, I want something. For example, just change the background of this one. So we can target that on the page. So here now what we can just do is to just do, let me select this one first. So we can just do constant box is going to be documents, then query selector like that. I think we call it group. So what do we want to do? So we want to check the type of event. So what we can just do here, we've talked about the if. So then now we want to do if e dot what's that? So which is going to be this code, or you can use the key if it is key you want to use. So it's going to be key is the same thing as arrow left like that. So I want to do something. S if e dot key is the same thing as arrow right like that. I want to do something X. All these things we've talked about them before, but now we are now putting them together. So yeah, if it is this, what I want to do is that this box, then dot style, then we talked about this one too. To change the style of the element, just the style, then followed by whatever the name of the property you want to change, which is going to be this background, and I want to set it to red like that. As this box dot style, then dot background is going to be green like that. So or let me even use another this thing s. So if it is something else, let me change it back to the original color. So yeah, I want to do style, then the background is going to be red because that's what is there before, but yeah, I'm going to use blue. So if you use arrow, if you press this, it's going to change the color to blue. If you press this, it's going to change it to green. Then if you press any other one, it will change it back to the original color, which is, as you can see, if none of these condition is met, then this is what you are going to do. And I hope I select the correct element because this, yeah, as you can see, we give it a class group. So now going back to the page, so if I press arrow up or down, it's still going to be red because we said as long as it's not this left and right, just go to red. But now if I press this, as you can see, it is now green, and if I press this, it is blue. And that's what is being used here. So when you press this or you press this, it will keep changing. But if you press any other one, nothing will happen because you will know that it's fired. It actually fired the stuff. But because of the condition that is attached to it, it will only do whatever you want based on that condition that you have there like that. And these are all these things that we're going to be using in the next class here for a design that we're going to be working. So we're going to work on a design that use JavaScript. And let me see all our this in there like that. So let me open the training, then we go under the UI because we already have some things we need already. So let me enter this design UI, and I think some of the landing page we have been working on before you can actually use, or let me find, or in the next class we should build this calculator. There's a lot of things there, and again this one comes with crazy, as you can see, you can change the theme like that. But I want us to work on simple stuff first, not just tackle something that is really big like that. So what we're going to do here is to work on this. Where's the news? So I think I have one news landing page here. Yeah, so there's it. So we're going to work on this. Let's go to the design because as you can see, this is the page. It's just a simple design there, but on mobile, there is a toggle menu there to open the menu or to close the menu. So this is what you have on desktop. So this is what you are going to have on desktop. But once you get to the mobile, as you can see, those menus are not showing. But when you click on this, then it will pop out. It will now move out like this. And when you click on X, it will go back like that. So this is what we're going to start with in the next class there, like that, by firstly design everything, then we now attach JavaScript into this button here and this button here, like that. So if you click on this, it will open by attaching a class to that thing that will make it to open. Then when you click on that X, it will remove the class that makes this thing open. That's just what we are doing there. So we are going, most of the work is on HTML and CSS. The JavaScript part is just this button and that the other button. And what they are going to be doing is that there's a class we are going to create that will make this thing to appear like this. And that class, when it's not there, that means it will not show. And when it is there, it will show. So that's what those two will now be doing. The one outside will be adding the class, so to make it appear like this. Why this one will now be removing the class. But you don't just want to add or remove. You want to do it when the event occur. And which event here? That's click. Because the event you want to listen for is when that thing is click. So it's when it is click that inner one will open this, or you to add a class to it. And when this one is click, that's when it will remove the stuff. But if you need more like this project now, that calculator that I showed there, there's a lot of crazy JavaScript going on with that one there. But let's start with simple stuff, or even the same thing too, this form too. There's a lot of JavaScript going on here, and I love to do this one using framework, because I don't love to do this because it's going to take you, as you can see, there's a lot of things to be done there, because this form have different let me start from step one, like that. So you start from step one. So this kind of design, you don't do it with normal Java. You can do it too, but it's going to take you a lot of time to do the stuff. You can see this is the step 4. Can you see? So you are going to be changing the UI based on the steps. So there's going to be a variable that is tracking the step you are currently on. So if you are in step 1, this is what you are going to show, this one, and you are going to hide the other. As you can see, the side is always the same. What is changing is this side. So if you look at it, this side is the same, like that. This side is still the same, but this thing is changing. So it's picking which one is active at a time based on the step. So when your variable is step 1, it will make sure that this one is having the active state. None of the other one will have the active state. Then if it is step 2, like the variable, there's a variable that is just a number loading your step. So it can be 1, 2. So when it is step 1 and you click on next, here like that, what it will just do is that it will change from step 1, that variable, it will remove 1 and it change it to 2. Then based on that too, your UI, because you condition your UI in a way that only one of them is going to show at a time based on the step. When we're in step 1, this is what you want to do. And what do you do there? In your HTML code, everything are going to be here. But there is going to be maybe like a class here that is going to be hidden. So when there is class hidden, it means it will not show. The one that did not have this class, that's the one that will show. So the job of JavaScript is now, based on the step, it will be adding this class hidden to all the element that is not matching the step. So here you can just have, this is going to be maybe step 2, like that. So if it is step 2 that is active, this thing will come to all this place, look for all the elements that have the class steps, like that. So once you find all the elements that have class step, it will check the one that matches the step you are working on. So if it is the same thing, remove the class hidden if it is there. But if it is not the stuff, it just add the hidden on the stuff, like that. And that's, but doing this, you can see there's a lot of work to be done. Yeah, but using a framework, it's going to be easier to do. But it's something we can actually do too from JavaScript here, like that. Well, I'm actually do it, but we might not add all the steps into this, because there's look at this toggle too. This is JavaScript here, because you can toggle between the month and yearly. And as you can see, it's showing $9 per MO, which is month. So if you switch it now to year, all the text here too will switch. The price too will switch, because there's no way you'll be doing the same price for year and a month, like that. So you can see when it is, can you see what is that doing? So when it is yearly, these are the content to show here. And when it is monthly, you can see that some text are no more there. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on this page. We can actually work on one of them, on one of the page alone. Not that we bother ourselves, but the toggling or so what I'm going to do is let's see, then she will work on this because we want to focus mainly on JavaScript part, like that. This one we don't need it right now. This is form. You can actually, this one we can use it to add a validator. Let me see if they give us the UI for that, because you can actually add the validator. No, they did not give. They did not give. I think it's another form that actually have it. So all this one did not have it. Yeah, I did not have it. So, but there's another form here that focus on the form part, that you have to display error when there's a problem with all these things. So that one is what we're going to use for the form checking and like that. But we need to pick one of them, and I think this one is actually okay. The only thing we just want to focus on is this part. We don't care about any other thing. The only thing we want to do, and as you can see here too, you can see that you can pick the one that is active. So when you click on this, that line will appear. If you click on this, it will remove from here, it will go to this one. Again, when you click on yearly, these are the content is going to come outside. And when you click on this, when you click on it again, it will either switch here or there, depending on which one is active at the time, because it's a toggle. When you click on it, if it is yearly, it will switch to month like that. And if it is monthly, it will switch to yearly. And again, too, as you can see, this thing have to be moving around based on whether we are in yearly or we are in monthly. I think let's work on this side only. The only thing we are just working on is this part, because we want to work on that. But that one, there's a lot of HTML and CSS to be done. The only JavaScript part is just the X and the hamburger menu that you just. But that one we can add it later on. But let's focus on something that uses all these JavaScript, so that you can see the pain of working with all this in yourself. From there, you now progress to a framework that now simplify the changes for you, like that. So yeah, we're going to create our UI. The UI is going to have a box like this, and from there, like that, we're still going to, let me see, we're not going to add this one. We're going to have this next step, and that next step too, we check whether you pick from here. If you don't pick, there is a modal that's supposed to pop up telling you that you've not select from the option, because you can't just go to next screen until you select the plan, because the plan is the next screen is depending on the plan that you make. Because maybe, for example, you want to make payment, so we need to know which payment are you going to be doing there. Are you paying for this or this or this? So we are going to create this screen from there. So the user has to be able to click on this. Again, the user has to be able to toggle. And based on what they toggle there, you can see the UI is changing like that. So, and again, too, it's still the same logic that is going to happen here. So after I'm done with this, you too, you will now use that experience to work on this one. Because here, as you can see, this one now supports multiple selection. This one is a single selection, while this one supports multiple selection. Or we can add them together, add it to the list there too, like that. We can add this to the list, but you two, you have to do something that is related to that. So I'm going to find something that is related to that, so that you use that same experience to build it, because this experience here is not the same thing as what is here. So, and this one is talking about array here now. So you can see this is array because you are putting multiple stuff, why this one is just a single value. So it can be this or this or this, but not uh two at the same time. But yeah, you can have none, you can have one, you can have two, you can have three, depending on the number of lists you have on it. So we're going to add this one too, since we have enough room. We're not going to, well, we should make it the mobile responsive too. So which means on mobile, what we're going to do is that on mobile, all these things, they are going to be stacked on top of each other. Then on desktop, everything here will be by the one side, then this one will be by the other side. So that's what since we are not focusing on this content here like that, we just want to see how we can put all these JavaScript together, like that. Yeah, that's me too. So they notify. That's why I said it should be here on time, because